Well, with us is a very special guest and a guy that really needs no introduction, but Thad Matta, as we celebrate Ohio basketball, has been a head college coach for 11 years, 10 of which, by the way, are in the state of Ohio. No 3 down at Xavier and the past 7 years at Ohio State. Phenomenal basketball man, phenomenal basketball career, and obviously still very much a work in process, and he's here with us tonight, although he's got a back that's not treating him very well lately.
No, it's
I hope we're on. So
yeah, they mic'd us.
Okay.
Bill doesn't trust technology anymore.
No.
No, I've as Bill said, long story short, herniated another disc, which the good thing was, as I told Bill the other day, it was in an area that I hadn't herniated one before. So now we're getting the whole thing, but you know, lying down, resting seems to be the key right now to good health.
Well, obviously you're not recruiting. You got that summer look going now. You're ready for.
Yeah, my wife told me not to shave. So.
Well, Thad, you know, everybody knows what's happened recently, but here tonight we celebrate history a little bit. And your career, you start out in Illinois, and obviously you had to be in basketball because his hometown happens to be named Hoopeston, Illinois, so that didn't give him much of a shot to do anything other than that. But in the high school, East Lynn High School, but the nickname is the Corn Jerkers, correct?
Yes, that is a true story, the Hoopeston East Lynn Corn Jerkers. And I could get everybody in this room a week to come up with your best line. I've heard them all. 17 years in that town, I've definitely heard them all.
Growing up, is there anybody that you followed in particular, player, team?
You know, it's funny because you know, being a coach's son, all I ever wanted to do was be a high school coach. I wanted to be called Coach Matta, as my father was. And we had a guy who was a freshman on the Indiana 76 team named Scott Ills. Right. And I became the biggest Bobby Knight fan you've ever seen. And, you know, we could get his television show every Sunday after church. And you know, now getting to know him and spend some time with him, it's been an amazing ride. But, you know, that was kind of as you said, growing up in a basketball community, there wasn't much of a choice. It was all basketball.
Well, obviously you've taken very well to the sport, and even though being a player, you felt you wanted to be a coach. That was to emulate your father.
Yeah, it was, and you know, a lot of people don't know this. The time I knew I had to go into coaching, I was in college, and I was probably the first college basketball player to receive an endorsement from a shoe company. We were a pony school. Remember probably the old timers have worn those shoes with the check on them. And Pony paid me $2,500 not to wear their product. So when I got that check and that letter, I said to myself, you know, this NBA thing may not work out. We probably need to go into coaching.
Well, I think Nike's paying you just a little bit more to wear them now, so.
Just a little bit, yes.
Well, obviously this guy's had a phenomenal career, and 24-8, his first year as a head coach when he's coaching the Butler Bulldogs, and at that time, people probably didn't know as much about Butler as they do today, and you got him started in the tournament, and a little known fact is the current coach there, you hired him.
Yes. Yeah, and you know, it's funny because you look at a guy's timeline in coaching, and I know Coach Coles is in here somewhere tonight, and I probably owe him my coaching career. I was coach's assistant at Miami of Ohio, and got a call one June night in the summer, and it was Barry Collier who was the head coach, and he said, "Thad, I want you to come back, be my assistant at Butler." And my wife Barbara and I both graduated from Butler, and I hang up the phone, and she said, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, he wants me to come back to Butler," and I said, "I'm not going," and she goes, "Good, because we love Coach Coles, Miami University." And so I called Charlie, and he says, "Ooh, T-Man, you got to go." And I said, "Well, you want to get rid of me?" He goes, "No." He says, "Barry Collier's going to leave. You're going to be the next head coach at Butler." The Prophet, you know, 3 years later, that's exactly what happened. And you know, was very fortunate to take over a program that you know, had been established, had been built, and had a great group of kids, and you know, I think it was for a first-year head coach when you thought you knew everything. You know, I can still remember the first timeout we ever had. I called the timeout, and it was a minute long, and I started coaching the guys real fast, talking real fast, sent them back out, and there was 57 seconds left in the timeout. And so now, as you've noticed, I don't call timeouts anymore.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, we picked up on
You know,
that.
Bill, it's a lot like the Ohio Wesleyan team I saw up there. There were 21 players on the team. Can you imagine how pissed off those guys would be? Because I only play 5 guys. You know, so we got 16 guys that are going to be sitting on the bench the entire time.
Yeah, but they like stretch your legs during your timeout.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
You could have
Yeah.
helped them that way.
Yeah.
So. Well, Thad leaves Butler after 1 year. He gets an opportunity to go to Xavier, and that brought him to the state of Ohio, playing in Cincinnati or coaching in Cincinnati. You win 26 games, 3 straight years, and then get an opportunity because the Ohio State job opens in the middle of the summer, and you have to make another decision.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting because being 100 miles apart, and you know, I've always said this. There's 3 types of people in sports. You probably heard me say this before. They're the people that can play. They're professionals. They play. The people that can't play, like myself, I go into coaching. And the people who know nothing about sports become journalists. And so it was, the media kind of blew this thing way out of proportion. And I remember calling the night before I was to come up and meet with the committee, and I called Andy Geiger and said, Andy, I'm out. I'm pulling out. This thing is completely blown up, and yeah, I just can't do it. And he says, Thad, here's the deal. He said, you need to come up here. He said, I got one of the best college coaching jobs in the country up here. And he said, if it doesn't work out, I'll give you 2 hours to pull out. You can take your name out. I don't even care. And I said, that's fair enough. I'll be up there.
Well, it's worked out to the betterment of Ohio State. I will say that. I don't know about the Xavier situation, but they continued to win. But you know, he gets 26 wins every year at Xavier. He wins 24 his first ever year at Butler, and he says he inherited a good team, but you still got to coach them up and get it done. And they made a run in an NCAA tournament. 7 years at Ohio State, Thad has won the league 4 times. He's won 3 conference Big Ten championships, the tournament at the end of the year. This year you graduate all your seniors, and you're winning again. So it's just absolutely phenomenal, and it's hard to believe you've been at it 11 years, and now you've coached 380 college games already. Probably didn't know that, did you?
No idea. 380.
Yeah.
Wow. Feels like about 980.
Thad, take us up to last year. I mean, you've had great success, obviously, and this group, though, and I said it publicly, and I think many in the room would share the same feelings. You know, this is probably the best basketball team you've had. This is the best basketball team, quite honestly, that I've seen at Ohio State since the Gary Gerhardt teams, when Lucas and Havlicek were here in the 1960s, and a phenomenal group you had.
Yeah. Well, I think this, you know, it's funny, we were having a meeting last summer with our staff, and Dave Dickerson had just joined the staff, and I asked the question, I said, fellas, do you think we can be better without Evan Turner than we were this past year, winning 29 games, and we all kind of looked at each other and said, you know, we have a shot to have a really good basketball team, and the reason was because of the kids that were in the program. And you know, I've said this, I don't know, I hope I do, but I don't know if I'll ever have a team that you enjoyed going to practice every day, that you enjoyed film sessions, you know, guys asking questions, you know, the freshmen, because I remember, I think it was June 20th last year when the freshmen came in for summer school, and I brought them in as a team, and I said, look, fellas, this program has accomplished a lot. And not one of you 6 new guys have done one thing to contribute to it. And you need to kind of keep your mouth shut, keep your ears and your eyes open, and learn from, as crazy as it sounds, we only had 4 veteran players on this year's team, which probably tells you how good the freshmen were. But you know, it was a special group, and you know, it was a team that you didn't have to jumpstart. They were prepared. They wanted to be good, and you know, when you get a group of guys like that that want to work, man, does it make it a lot easier.
Well, I'll tell you, you had a phenomenal year, and 2007, not that long ago, you take basically a freshman-laden team. Had Lewis and had Ivan Harris there, but you had Oden, Conley, and Cook, and you lose all three after the first year, but you make it to the championship tilt and lose to Florida, which was a great basketball team, and I think, 7 guys left early out of that NCAA final game.
There were 9 guys on the court that played in the NBA.
Yeah, unbelievable. You've had 5 situations in your short tenure at Ohio State where you've had the one and done, and good players, great kids, but what's your thought on the rule? I mean, I know you live with it because there's no choice when that's the hand that's dealt you, but
well, I think this, a lot of people, I've kind of like the poster child for it as a coach, and a lot of people have asked me what I think needs to happen. I don't know if I have the ideal answer for what they need. You know, now that we have Jared coming back, I hope they make it 3 years. But I think that, you know, the one thing that I've always tried to do is view the situation through the player's eyes. And, you know, I know somebody was ripping me for recruiting, and they said, you know, he's got to stop recruiting these kids. And, you know, the thing that I said was, yeah, we've lost 5 freshmen in 3 years. 3 of them are from the state of Ohio. You know, the other 2 were from the state of Indiana. We're definitely going to recruit those kids, and I think that the biggest thing that I've seen is, and even with Evan leaving after his junior year as the National Player of the Year, as long as they've got 2 feet in at Ohio State, they can go at the end of the year. You know, we've seen it where those kids play up to the Final Horn, and then they decide what they want to do. And as you know, Bill, this college basketball is becoming a crazy deal with as far as the outsiders and the agents and the shoe companies and all this stuff. And that's why we want to recruit great kids and kids that want to be here.
Well, you've certainly shown that the ability to do that, and you've got them coming. Next year, I mean, you look at your squad for getting back to the present again, you're talking about Jared Sullinger coming back with as good a set of hands we've seen at Ohio State since probably Jerry Lucas. You've got Aaron Kraft, who I don't understand how a freshman can learn to move his feet and play defense.
According to your teammates, you never.
No, I didn't worry about the defensive end because I realized the quicker they scored, the quicker we got it back. You know, in basketball, you just take it out of bounds. And but I did have a lot of foul difficulties playing at Ohio State, and Denny Metters is here tonight, and you try to guard 2 men your entire career, you're going to pick up some fouls. You know, that's going to happen. But no, we've had great times over the years, and you have just done a phenomenal job. But you have Sullinger, you have Kraft, you have Thomas coming back, and of course William Buford, another kid that has elected to stay for his 4th year. So it has to be a big plus to you.
It really is, and you know, I go back. I want to mention this, you know, as we're representing Ohio tonight. I don't know when the last time The Ohio State University started 5 guys from Ohio as we did this past year to the #1 seed, and I took great pride in that. And but
thank you.
Yes.
So do we.
Yeah. But as we turn to next year's team, obviously with William being the only senior, you know, we have 1 junior, Evan Ravenel, who sat out last year as a transfer. And then we turn to our sophomore class, and you know, obviously with Jared, I said this, you know, this time last year, I swore he was probably the best player we've ever brought to the Ohio State University, and you know, he's a special talent, a special kid. You know, you look at a young man like Aaron Kraft from Liberty Benton, and you know, the job that he did as a quote-unquote 6-man, comes in and took command of our basketball team, and you know, he's a 4.0, he wants to be a surgeon, and just a tremendous kid. So, you know, I think as we move forward, the big challenge for our guys is number one, when you're bringing 5 new guys in again, we got to get them to understand and appreciate first and foremost the university. and then appreciate the leadership they're going to be given from the upperclassmen. And you know, I think that those guys are excited to get in, you know, mesh them together, and you know, they'll go through the 10-week boot camp, and if they make it through that, I think they'll be pretty good players.
Well, I think you're going to continue the great success. Like I said, you've won the Big Ten, you've won the Big Ten tournament, you've won the NIT. There's only one thing left that you haven't won, and obviously, I know it's always there. It's kind of unfortunate, you know. Many of us played in an era where it was the beauty was to win the Big Ten, right, and everything else was icing on the cake. And some of us are old enough that we played. We had to remember that you had to win the Big Ten outright because you weren't going to get to the tournament if you tied, because Ohio State had been there previously with the great teams that came before us. So one thing that you continue to do, though, is that I've been so impressed with is your passion. This guy is sitting here tonight probably with a back that's not feeling like he wants to be out of the house, and he's worn this brace on his foot for the last couple of years and had some difficulties with his back. He doesn't talk about it. And you still have that passion and that positive spirit. Now, I don't know whether I've talked to you about this before. I don't know if it's in the DNA, if it came from your father. I don't know where it comes from, but Thad Matta is not a guy that he gets on his team, don't get me wrong, but you don't beat him up, and you seem to forget the last mistake and always looking to the next play. And your teams do that.
Well, I think that's the thing that I've tried to create, and I've always said this, I say it in recruiting, if we're going to recruit the best players in the country, we're going to let you play basketball. And I played for a lot of different coaches and you know, worked for a lot of different guys, and I've tried to get as much from all of them as I can, and you know, I want to coach guys like I wanted to be coached, and you know, I still, our goal is to average 85 points a game. I want to play as fast as we possibly can. Now, there's a few teams in the Big Ten that don't allow that, and we are playing Miami again next year down at Nationwide, and if Coach Coles holds the ball again, I'm going to have a problem with that, but as he did this year. But no, I think that's the thing. I want our kids to enjoy their experience. You know, they don't understand that college is the greatest time of their life. They're at the greatest university in the world, and you know, it's funny talking to Dave and John. They're in Chicago now, and Dallas is back training here in regards to our seniors, and they already miss it. You know, like, Coach, I'd love to be back in class, and you know, obviously back on the Oval on a sunny day. They would love to be there, but no, they're, you know, the thing that we want to create is that family atmosphere, and I want our guys to feel good. That's something that we've always wanted to create, but they know when I snap, it must be really important.
Well, it's happened very seldom, and when you snap, they do respond, and it's been our pleasure to have Thad Matta be our guest here at the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.